Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Recently, I updated 2 videos in 2025. The first video was a step-by-step instructional guide to structure your business credit profile. And in the second video, I provided some Tier 1 Net 30s and a few other no PG EIN only accounts that you can use to establish your business credit score. So today, we're going to discuss some Tier 2 accounts so you can further utilize these to establish your business credit profile. There are actually 4 different business credit tiers that you can use when you're building your business credit. If you understand how these tiers work, they can help you find the right financing to meet your needs while you're building your business credit. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'm going to provide you a no PG EIN only business card that, if approved, account holders can potentially access up to $500,000 in business working capital. I'm going to also provide a referral link that will go directly to a sales manager to prioritize your application of this business card. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Let's begin with the recap of Tier 1 accounts. Tier 1 credit is commonly referred to as basic trade credit and is the most readily accessible type of business financing. You generally don't need to establish business credit history or a high personal FICO score for you to get approved for these accounts from vendors at this level. What's more, you typically don't need to provide a personal guarantee. That means most Tier 1 business credit vendors cannot come after your personal assets if your company was to default, and making basic trade credit the least risky form of business financing. And as a result, Tier 1 credit accounts are a great way to build your business credit from scratch. They can help you establish a handful of initial trade lines with each major business credit bureau and lay the foundation of credit for more essential financing in the future. Conveniently, Tier 1 business credit vendors are often supply stores that sell practical items for a small business owner trying to get off the ground. However, Tier 1 credit accounts are often allowances for no longer repayment terms than 30 days, which means they must be repaid within that 30-day time frame. And that's also the reason why most people refer to these accounts as net 30s. As a result, though, you won't incur interest with basic trade credit as long as you pay by the required due date, but you won't be able to finance anything for very long either. Next, let's discuss the typical credit profile needed for a Tier 1 credit account. Tier 1 credit accounts have the least demanding eligibility requirements, and you should be able to qualify for some of them without any previous business credit, which is why we want to start here. You can also qualify even if you have bad personal credit. However, you do need to meet the following requirements. You need to operate a business that's in the United States, have an IRS issued tax ID, your federal EIN. You need to also have a Dun & Bradstreet issued DUNS number. You want to be established for at least 30 days. You want to have no derogatory business reporting or delinquencies, and applicants must be an authorized officer of the organization. Now, with that said, some of the requirements for basic trade credit vary between vendors. For example, a majority of Tier 1 accounts that I mentioned in my How to Build Business Credit in 30 Days video did not require you to be established for at least 30 days. And some may require that you have other Tier 1 accounts before approving you. As a result, you may need to shop around to get your first trade line. I highly recommend that you refer back to that video if you are just beginning to establish your business. You're going to look for the video that shows you how to actually structure your business, and then you can look at the one about building business credit with net 30s. And then once you're done with both of those, if you want to come back and watch this video, this will be the next level so you can get those Tier 2 accounts. We're now moving on to Tier 2 business credit, also known as advanced trade credit. Though it's still a form of vendor financing, it gives small business owners access to higher lines of credit and longer repayment terms than you would get on basic trade line accounts. If you qualify, you'll receive a dedicated card attached to some of your credit line, and the size will depend on your business's qualifications. Advanced trade credit accounts help you round out your business credit report before you transition into more traditional business financing, such as installment loans or getting credit cards from a financial institution. Because they're harder to qualify for and involve larger sums of money, they may look better as trade lines on your business credit report. And as a result, you should think about applying for them as soon as you're confident that your chances of qualifying are very high. The typical credit profile needed for Tier tier 2 credit accounts will be a little bit different than tier 1. Tier 2 business credit vendors have more restrictive qualification requirements than your normal tier 1 providers. So to get advanced trade credit accounts, you usually need between 3 to 5 tier 1 accounts with positive payment history. Sometimes you may need to have a personal guarantee, but usually it's unlikely. You may also need to have 2 years of operating history to qualify for tier 2 accounts. Now that we've discussed tier 1 and tier 2 and what it takes to qualify, I also want to discuss tier 3 and tier 4. Now the accounts that we're looking at today will not be tier 3 and tier 4, but it's just good for you to actually be aware of what these are. In contrast with vendor trade lines, these accounts come from organizations that specialize in offering financing like banks and credit unions. To qualify for tier 3, you should aim to have a solid business credit history with a dozen or so tier 1 and tier 2 trade credit accounts. You should also have a good business credit score and a track record of making timely monthly payments. While tier 3 credit accounts are significantly more challenging to qualify for than the business trade lines in the previous tiers, they're usually well worth the effort. They're the best way to secure large amounts of flexible capital that you can use to grow your business. For example, you can get a small business administration and SBA loan for up to $5 million and use the proceeds for various purposes, including acquiring property, improving real estate, or just your own working capital. I have an entire video that goes over SBA loans, and I talk about the importance of establishing a business credit profile and what that means to get approved. If you would like to watch that video, I'm gonna link that here. Tier 4 business funding is very different from tiers that we've discussed previously. It refers to an arrangement in which you raise capital from an investor, such as venture capitalist or an angel investor, rather than a credit arrangement where you borrow from a vendor or traditional lenders. Notably, these investors usually prefer equity financing arrangements, which require you to give up partial ownership of your company. So for example, it might involve selling 20% of your corporation's outstanding shares of common stock. Equity is generally more expensive than debt in the long run, but doesn't come with a fixed monthly payment. As a result, it can be an attractive option for businesses that have already taken out significant amounts of debt and can't afford to borrow anymore. In addition, these investors can bring much more than capital to the table. They're often experts of scaling the types of companies that they're invested in, and they offer invaluable guidance. They're also literally invested in your success, so it's in their best interest to help you as much as possible. Good business credit scores certainly won't hurt your chances of convincing these investors to work with you, but it's usually not their primary concern. They're typically more interested in startups that have high growth potential and can provide a lucrative return. Now, I'm going to share 3 tier 2 accounts with you, as well as the business card that you can use that goes up to $500,000. Our first tier 2 account is the 7-Eleven Commercial Fleet MasterCard. Now, this is ideal for businesses that want to fuel exclusively at 7-Eleven or Speedway stations. With this card, your business can save up to 7 cents per gallon for the first 6 months and continue to save 5 cents per gallon every time they fill up at participating locations. There's no setup fee, there's no annual fee or card fees, which makes this a very low-cost solution for business owners. Fleet cards are generally a great stepping stone. Some of them are more easily accessible in the early stages of building your credit than others, and I was approved for this one 2 days ago, and it was a $4,000 credit limit with semi-monthly repayment terms and of course no personal guarantee. So if you've already established 5 to 7 tier 1 accounts and you're looking for the next level, this is definitely a recommended one for you. This card should report to Experian Business as well as Dun & Bradstreet, according to the representative that I spoke with. However, I don't know this for sure. Things change all the time. I was just approved 2 days ago, and the one thing I can confirm is that you can get this card with no personal guarantee. If you want any more details about this card, there's a link in the description where you can apply. And if you are approved, please leave a comment below with the approval amount. I love to hear that from you. Our second tier 2 account is going to be the JCPenney commercial account. This includes a plastic card for you and any authorized users that you have to purchase anything in store at JCPenney's or at jcp.com. Now, this card comes with a net 30 term, and it is backed backed by Synchrony Bank. This card also reports to Experian Business and Dun& Bradstreet. I did apply for this card and I was approved for $4,000 with the net 30 terms. Again, it's no PG. There's very little information about this account, so unfortunately I can't give any more details. However, what I can say is I wasn't approved right away. I did have to call. When you complete the application, there's a section that does ask you for a personal guarantee. You unselect that and you can continue without it. Now, I did include a link in the description to apply. Let me know if you're approved for this one as well. Our third tier 2 account is going to be the Lowe's commercial account. Now, if you run a business in construction or renovation, property management, landscaping, anything like that, this will be a great option for you. It gives you 5% discount on all your purchases. It also provides a net 60 term, which can be helpful for managing cash flow and includes benefits like discounted delivery and bulk rate pricing. This tier 2 account will report to Experian Business as well as Dun & Bradstreet, and I was approved for a $5,000 credit limit, and it does have bi-monthly terms. Again, that's 60 days with no personal guarantee. There is a link in the description if you would like to apply for this one as well, and let me know what you were approved for. As promised, here is the $500,000 card that you can qualify for, and that's going to be the Revenue Flex Line in Business Card. Now, we've discussed this business card in my top 3 EIN only PG card video, and if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend that you watch this. I do have a referral link that was provided to me. If you go to the description, this will go directly to a sales manager to prioritize your application. This Flex Line plus business card works best for a small business owner looking for fast, flexible funding to access working capital whenever it's needed. There is no draw fees, there is no maintenance cost, and there's no minimum credit score that's required. You borrow exactly what you need when you need it with limits up to $500,000. These funds can be deposited directly into your business bank account, or they can be accessed through Revenue's Visa business card. Approvals for this business card will be based on your business revenue and not your personal credit. However, while your personal credit score isn't a part of the decision-making process, you do need to have a few baseline requirements hit. First, your business must be at least 1 year old. Revenue wants to see a consistent track record of revenue over time. Second, you must have a dedicated business checking account. This account needs to show at least 3 months of consistent activity. Revenue uses the account to evaluate your deposits and also to set up your repayment schedule, so it is important that your transactions are clean and very easy to verify. Third, your business needs to generate at least $20,000 in monthly deposits. Now, that might sound like a lot, but if you're already operating with multiple clients or running payroll, you're likely to easily hit those numbers. And I have plenty of videos that talk about how you can show your business revenue and exactly what you're generating. Revenue uses your actual revenue, not projections or credit history, as the main criteria for determining your approval and to get this flex line limit of up to $500,000. Also, your business entity must be an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, or a partnership. And finally, your business must be a US based business in order to qualify. Once again, the referral link is in the description. If you believe that you meet the criteria, I highly recommend that you use the link. That way it goes to a dedicated sales manager and you can be approved in 1 hour. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about tier 1, tier 2, or even 3 or 4 types of business credit, please let me know in the comments below. If you were approved for any of the tier 2 accounts, please let me know. I would also like to know what you were approved for. And if you were approved for our revenue business card and flex line, please let me know about your approval. Would love to hear about your experience and get some feedback with that as well. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day.